Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined by Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. He is in the Senate serving on armed services, on intel, and on judiciary. He was a colleague of Vice President Harris when she was in the Senate for 4 years, watched her preside over the Senate for 4 years. Senator Cotton, we're going to hit the high water mark of Kamala mania on Thursday night of next week. Then it will begin to recede. How quickly will it recede?
Well, Hugh, thanks for having me on once again, and congratulations by asking me that question. You've now been able to ask me more questions than anyone has asked Kamala Harris the whole time she's been the Democratic nominee for president. I suspect the more that the American people get a look at Kamala Harris and her record as a radical San Francisco liberal, the more rapidly the burst of Democratic enthusiasm will recede for. And let's be clear, that's what this is. It's not Kamala Harris has won over independent voters or swing voters. It's just Democrats who are happy that they finally have escaped what they seem to think was inevitable doom with Joe Biden as their candidate. But if you and your family have been suffering under Joe Biden for the last 4 years, the worst is yet to come with Kamala Harris, because she is consistently the most liberal member of his administration, the most anti-American member of his administration, and the most pro-Hamas member of his administration. She always blames America first for anything that goes wrong in the world. She always puts pressure on our friends and allies around the world. And at home, there is no activity in the private sphere that she does not want to tax or regulate so she can spend more of your money and boss you around more.
Yeah, Senator, I've got a column over at Fox News this morning where I make a simple argument. She's a San Francisco Democrat. That's a radical Democrat. She's never actually won a serious election. She barely beat a guy named Steve Cooley, who was a nondescript, a lifelong prosecutor who registered to the Republicans to get the nomination. She barely beat him. She'd never had a real race. I think she's got a glass jaw, but if she doesn't come out, we can't see it. Will it work long term for her to hide?
Well, Hugh, we all saw what she was capable of, or maybe we should say what she wasn't capable of in 2019 when she ran for president. Now, that's not an election year. That's because she didn't even make it to the starting line in the election year in 2020 in Iowa. Even the Democratic Party's presidential electorate rejected her in the early days of the primary as too liberal and too radical for them. Think about that, Hugh. An electorate that is A-OK with Bernie Sanders says, nope, Kamala Harris, can't have her. And she can send out anonymous aides on Friday nights, all that she wants, to try to say that she no longer supports, for instance, taking away your health insurance on the job, or banning hydraulic fracturing, and frankly banning the production of all oil and gas in America, or confiscating your firearms. But those are her own words on camera. And until she comes out and explains where she stands, and if she has flip-flopped, to explain why she flip-flopped and when she flip-flopped, the American people are going to take her at her word.
You know, I was on Special Report last night, and Brett was on my program this morning. We always do Home and Away. And I referenced last night, and I played for Brett this morning, a bit of tape that surfaced from 2019. Kamala Harris at a town hall in Iowa being asked about immigration detention centers, cut number 32.
My name's Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice. Okay. I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close the immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
So, Senator Cotton, what does that mean, close the immigration detention centers on day one?
Well, I'm not sure what it means, Hugh, and I doubt Kamala Harris knows what it means either, because she just always spouts these left-wing pieties. As you said, she grew up politically in deep blue San Francisco and deep blue California. Her reflexive instinct is and always has been that of a San Francisco liberal. But what you just heard, of course, is a natural consequence of her broader position on illegal immigration, which, again, she said in her last time she ran for president, we should decriminalize. It should not be a crime to enter this country in violation of our country's laws. And furthermore, we should also give illegal aliens taxpayer-funded health care. So it's not surprising at all that a video surfaced of her now saying that she'll eliminate immigration detention centers. If it's not a crime, why would you detain anyone?
Exactly. It's so radical. It's off the charts radical. I want to play for you one cut from the Donald Trump-Elon Musk conversation last night, which was a huge success. Boy, it annoys the legacy media that he did that for 2 hours unfiltered without their assistance, and they're mad at him. And they had a DOS at the beginning of it, but it's going to be more than 5 billion engagements with it. Here is one cut from it, cut number 21. It may be the most important part of the conversation. Cut number 21, please.
I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't have a country left. Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the 4. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. And I had to stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think this is a super important point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico.
No, Mexico less.
It's just the border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the US.
We're already overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible.
So, Senator Cotton, he was obviously watching Special Report because Brett did a story on New York and the ridiculous amount of crime and the overcrowding of the migrant community. I think when Elon Musk says something is an existential issue, he knows what he's talking about. Do you agree with him?
Hugh, if we have another 4 years of Biden-Harris immigration policy, and it'll be worse under President Harris if she's elected, we're not going to have 10 million illegals in this country. As Donald Trump said, we're going to have 30 or 40 million illegal aliens. It'll simply be a glaring neon sign to the rest of the world that if you can get here, you'll stay. That Kamala Harris is not going to secure our border. She's not going to deport anyone. And you already see, as that news report mentioned, the strain that it puts on communities, from crime and drugs to housing to public schools to emergency rooms and other public services. Donald Trump secured our border. He will secure it again. He will begin to deport illegal aliens. He'll make sure that we put the interest of Americans first. Kamala Harris will put the interest of foreigners first. I mean, she said during her campaign that her message to illegal aliens was, I stand with you, I will fight for you, and I will fight for your rights. She never said that about fighting for Americans and standing with Americans and fighting for their rights.
Now, Senator Cotton, Eric Hobdy was on earlier. I'm sure you've been up to Wisconsin to campaign for him. And he said his state has been terribly impacted by the illegal migrant problem. Then Brett Baer said, yeah, it's true. I think it's the great white whale issue that's beneath the surface everywhere, but that the Republicans and Donald Trump need a better answer on the Democrats' pretend border bill. I think the answer is you guys sent Jim Lankford off to do the best he could. He came back with a bill that wasn't even close because it didn't have the wall in it. What do you think is the best answer to this?
Well, Hugh, the first and most urgent thing is to get control of our border. Kamala Harris cannot do that. She will not do that. She's out there talking about getting tough on illegal immigration and securing the border. Where has she been for the last 2.5 years? She was Joe Biden's border czar. Her talking about securing the border is like O.J. Simpson talking about finding the real killer.
I know, but she does say, the border bill would have fixed it and the Republicans killed it. And it's a talking point. And I think Brett's right. There's got to be a response to that bill. What is that response?
Well, a lot of that bill would have codified the practices of the Biden administration that has invited more than 10 million illegals to come here, like catch and release, or allowing illegals who have no legitimate claim for asylum to still come here and go through years of litigation for their bogus asylum claims. So it would have codified what has gone wrong with the border. And as you say, it wouldn't have done what is very simple. What is the very simple solution is to finish Donald Trump's border wall. He will finish it. Kamala Harris obviously won't.
And I think that matters. I don't think he says it enough because every American intuits that's the first line. It's not a complete answer, but it's the first line. I don't know. Why did Senator Langford bring back a bill without a wall?
What many Republicans hoped last fall is that the Democrats' desire, which they professed was deep, to continue support for Ukraine, defending its territory against Russia's war of aggression, would bring them to make compromises on their radical immigration policy. I think what was learned over time is that the Democrats' professed commitment to Ukraine was much weaker than their deep ideological commitment to open borders. And as negotiations proceeded, Democrats continued to give nothing on the border. And for Republicans who wanted to continue to support Ukraine, that was the only deal that was left on the table.
I think that is an answer. I would like to hear that answer. Senator, very quickly, if Iran strikes Israel as is expected this week, should the United States help Israel respond to that attack?
Well, we certainly should, and we should help them defend against that attack. But what we should do before that is make sure that Iran understands how furious the joint American-Israeli response will be to deter that attack in the first place. You had this with Donald Trump. You didn't have appeasement and conciliation and fearfulness. You had strength and confidence. On multiple occasions, President Trump warned the Ayatollahs not to attack Americans, not to attack Israel, and they backed down because they were scared of America. With Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Uncle Sam has a kick me sign on his back.
Well said. Senator Cotton, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me.